Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. Today is Friday, October the 28th, and it's going to happen this time. We're going to look at it one more time. We had my day of having a little fun in the garden with taking pictures and all the spots where I wish I could sit, but I sat there for a moment and had my picture taken, just like, at least memories that I can remember of those times that I wish I really had the actual time, but I had a facsimile of it. But anyway, I've heard the geese going over. Monday night it's supposed to be down into the 20s. We're going to have to do some winterizing. Today my plan is to cover up some of these things that are fragile, that will not handle the heat and then cold very well. So I don't want to risk some of this stuff, and others I don't really want to risk, but I probably won't take in. I may take this little fragile thing in because it's already crunched up a lot. I can still hear my friend Oma saying, sometimes, Nancy, you just have to let it go. But we'll see if I do this time or not. And while I'm supposed to be covering things, and I am trying, I also decided, yes, I'm going to try to take this little star impatient in, and I know they'll probably be on sale or be for sale next spring, but I don't know. Since I kept that one little purple one, I would love to keep some of these others and see if they will live through the winter for me and come back out to shine again like that one did. I still haven't taken these in. That's also on my plan for today, is to clear out my junk room, put these in, and then put my stuff back in front of them. That's what you have to do when your room is, when you don't have a lot of room. I also did get my little pansies scattered throughout this. So maybe by Monday, when everything else is gone, they'll still be shining. Just when my little pots of mums are beginning to fill out and look good, the frost has to come tonight. Look at our pretty weeping willow. It was so beautiful. It's still got some yellow color, but not much. They're all down on the ground. Winter is coming to the garden. Look, this little lantana is fixing to burst out in beauty, but instead it will freeze right there, turn brown, and we'll have to tell it goodbye. So I think I've got everything, well, certainly not everything, but the most fragile stuff covered in the garden. And this is what my table looks like. It's looked like this for over 2 weeks, probably, at least 2 weeks. And my husband came in and laid his channel locks that he had actually been helping me right here in this one little spot. And I politely or semi-politely told him to please take those outside and don't put them on my table. Saturday night, October the 28th, got frighteningly close to freezing, and then Sunday night it went ahead and froze us out. Look, there's still a little color left. We still get to keep some of the mums. Maybe, we'll see. They could still turn, but hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll just turn beautiful and we'll have color still. All the pretty little coleus are not pretty anymore. But I was ready to tell it goodbye because I got everything in that I wanted to keep some of, and I got my little junk room cleaned out enough to get some some of the ones that my bulbs and different things that I just keep in there until spring comes again. And you can tell also the impatiens are gone. This lovely little strawberry pot, it stayed beautiful right up until that frost came. And now I'm going to get started. I'm going to get that table cleaned off that I showed you earlier, but I'm going to get started getting out my recipes and getting ready to do some cooking for my sister's annual Thanksgiving reunion. I knew I would hate to see it go, but so grateful that I got things kind of wrapped up right there at the very last day to be able to do so. And I made a new purchase for the garden for next year because these were great. I enjoyed these. They were just perfect for me. But as you can see, if I can find the spots where they're absolutely totally worn out, because there are those spots on here. Look at that, I can't find them now. Well, here's one spot, and there's several, and the inside is kind of getting messed up too, but mercy did I ever use these boots, and I loved them. They were perfect for making me feel safer when I walked around. I'm not stepping on a snake, so I purchased a new pair, and I got mine from our local Tractor Supply. I like it that they cater, you know, to the feminine side of me. So we're going to say goodbye to the 2023 gardening season and start preparing for the 2024 gardening season. These will look like these by the end of next year. Hopefully, actually, I hope they do, because I hope I'm able to stay out there, stay after it, and even enjoy it out there even more. And I say even more because I hope I continue to get things a little bit better where I have less invasive stuff and just more time to enjoy the garden if that's possible. My little plants are snug inside. Do you remember what this looked like? The whole top of it was just white where I clipped it off, and it's growing back. And I'm so happy with that, although I lost several leaves along the sides, or the stem part of it. And when I brought my plants in, I had trouble with ants. I had no idea there were several of these little pots that had ants in them. And I've had to be after that. You know, you can't just do one thing. Even if you're a one-track person, I did bring this little plant in. You know, I've saved it through a whole winter and back out through another summer, so I just had to. And then I thought, well, if I save that one, I'll try this one too, which is looking pretty pathetic. I do not know if this will make it, but it might, so I'm going to try. This is that pretty bright lipstick pink impatient, and I know these will be for sale next year, or I'm pretty sure they will be, but I just couldn't let them go. My house is so full that it's like a maze to get around in it. Look at this beauty. And this is one of the ones that the ants got into, and it killed some of it out. And oh, this is such a beautiful color. This is called Autumn Ember. And I hope it will live for me. I think I've got them all gone now out of it, but you know, it did a number on them. Look at this one, and I forgot what the name of it is, but I know the name of this one is Polymer Prince, and I love them both. I love them all. There's one more begonia I really, really want. When I see it, I'm going to try to purchase it, and then I'm going to try to let the begonias go, because I do not have room for houseplants. I do not do well with houseplants, but to save them through the winter, I will definitely try. My little airplane plant that Oma gave me is just doing great. It's got a few little tips that are burnt from the sun, but it's doing great. This is another one of my prized begonias, Rex begonias, that I discovered I loved. I didn't even know that I loved these until I came across this polymer prints, and it just took my heart in there. I had to have more and more of them, you know how that goes. And look at this beauty here. This is that froggy, or what else is it called? Tiger paws. So, and it seems to be more hardy than the others for me, keeping it inside, and even outside it did great. I hope it continues on to do that. And look, even this little one is starting to look more healthy. And of course, this little peace lily is from my sister, a birthday gift from my sister last year, and I love it. You can hardly get through my house, but that's okay. It's just me and my husband here, and we can handle that. He even can handle that with me. He may not like it, but he doesn't dislike it enough to tell me I can't do it, or he wishes I didn't do it. So, and look at this beauty. It's still looking great. I told you this one time about a coleus, how great it still looked, and it was later on in the season, and the next week it wilted up and died. So I hope that does not happen. I just love this beauty, the color, the trailing. It's just one of my favorites. I did try to bring in my rockin' fuchsia, pink fuchsia salvia. I'm hoping it will make it too. And I covered my black and blue salvia good with mulch, hoping that it will make it through the winter to live again next spring. I also brought in my mandevilla vine, and I'm so hoping that it will do great. And one of these days I'm planning on getting some of this for my sister, putting it in a pot and putting one of the narrow trellises in with it so it can climb that trellis, and she can have a plant that blooms and looks so gorgeous. I know she's going to love this. And this one, I brought this one in too. I know I can probably find these next year, but you know, all the things you know, sometimes you don't know. You just think you do. But anyway, I'm going to give it a try too. Once I found out you could keep them, and these little stems, you know, they're thick and they're ready to go. And I have such trouble getting my impatiens started because of snails and roly-polies. They love that tender stem when they're new in the spring. So I am hoping that I will be able to give this another go in the garden next spring. I love my foxtail fern. I just love it. I remember when Oma had one this big, and I thought I will never have one that big. I kept trying and trying, and I would get, you know, just a tiny little piece of one coming up. But then one day it just decided to grow, and not only did it grow, it has kept growing since then. And I may have to divide it at some point and give some away. But hey, that's great. And I brought this little coleus in too. It may have the same, it and the one behind it there. They may not make it through the winter, but they can. But we're talking about in my house and me, so that's not always the case. But I did bring in several. I brought this little coleus in because it's such a beauty, and I've noticed that it turned more green inside. But it has the most beautiful. It's called it's called stained glass plum, and I just love it. Of course, I brought this little coleus in. You can tell I'm still having a hard time of letting things go, but they may be there for next year. And I did bring one of my spikes in. Not only that spike, but I also brought in this beautiful burgundy spike, and I hope they will make it and go back out next spring too. So we've got everything pretty much all lined up for the winter. We'll live cozy with the plants, hopefully. And I was going to show you, though, this little one. Oma offered to give me some of her curly one, and I said, no, I have a curly one. It's doing great, and it was. But this is another one where those ants got into the bottom part of it, and they just just went right on up it. So I'm hoping. I've been clipping off every time I see one that's gone, and this one's a little bit discolored, but it's still firm, so I'm thinking that it's okay. Right now they're okay. This one, however, you can tell that's not okay. It's not okay. It's dying. I'm gonna go ahead and get that off and I can. I thought I might have to get the scissors, but I got that one off, and I'm gonna try to keep taking them off if they die, but I'm hoping that that is soon over and that it begins to live and shine and thrive and do great. That's what I'm hoping. So we'll see how it goes. It's always iffy for me and house plants. But I always think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to try them so that we have a chance of bringing them back in or back out into the garden. Oh, and this, I'm pretty sure I told you, but I would bring in my little, this is a passion vine, and it's a tassel. It's a beautiful tassel flower passion vine, and I also had a tiny little one down there that looks like it's not going to make it, but we'll leave it there for a while and see. But oh, I hope this one will make it, go back out next spring and have blossoms or blooms I can show you, and we can both get excited over, because they are definitely something to get excited about when you see them. And my little Norfolk pine is still alive, so that is great. This one is also its second year to come inside, so I am so excited about that. And I may have already told you, but I got this beautiful variegated ginger lily. I got this for my sister Rose, and then it started turning brown, so I took it apart. I thought maybe it just needed it, and its roots were a bit bound. So, and actually this one looks like the roots out, but that is a cotton. It's cotton, a cotton plant. So, and I got that for my nephew, actually my great nephew Benjamin, because he wanted us to stop at a cotton field so he could see it, and we told him the next one we came up we would stop and let him get out and go look at it, and we never came to another one that day, and then they moved to Florida. So I'm going to have to, I may send this to him in the mail just so he can see what they look like. But back to my ginger lily. After I went ahead and put it in 3 pots. And I'm going to keep one of these, give one to my sister Kathy, and I've already given one to my sister Rose. And Rose is the one with the, oh my goodness, I started to say she's the one with the big area with lots of light to keep plants. But actually both my sisters have a big area with lots of light to keep plants that I'm going to give this to Kathy and Rosie. So one of these will be Kathy's. And they are turning that brown again, so I don't know, maybe that's just the way they do. Maybe it's just because they're in my house. But it's like I've said many times, if they just but live for me, I get excited about that and bring them out, and many times they do so well once they get outside. I hope that's the case for this little ginger lily. And yes, I did go ahead and bring in some of my geraniums. I just couldn't seem to let them go, and I thought, well, if they die, they will but die, and they're definitely going to die out here in the cold. And I think I've already told you, but this little aloe vera and this, and it's looking like it's a different color than it actually is. It's green, but because of this light. But the lights do help them. I learned that, so I'm going to keep using them as long as I can. But it is a hibiscus. It's a bright red, beautiful hibiscus. I'm going to give that to my nephew Clifton. He's the plant guy in our family. So just trying to show you that my house doesn't always look as bad as it did in the previous pictures that I showed you of my table. Sometimes it looks worse. Ooch. But right now it looks good and I'm proud of it. So glad to have some time to get some stuff taken care of. So we're beginning the taking care of the plants all winter long. But oh, look, isn't this just beautiful? I don't know the name of this little plant, but I hope I can save it through the winter, and it may be a perennial and just come back in the garden, which would be great. It also could be an invasive, which not be so great, but if I take care of it some way and get it where it won't be invasive, that will still be. But isn't it beautiful? It looks just like a little bouquet instead of just some little clippings saved. I love this bright color, and then when you put this little ethereal looking plant right in there with it, it just makes it a perfect little bouquet. And my baby girl gave me this plant when I went to see her. I noticed it in the store and I said, "What is that? A Swiss cheese plant?" And she said, "Yes." And then when I started to leave, she said, "Wait a minute," and she brought this out to me. And look, babe girl, it's looking so good. I told you it was. And you gave me that little, "Yeah, right, Mom. I know how you do house plants," which normally would be correct, but this looks so good. It likes living with me. I did purchase a moisture meter reader, and I like it. I don't use it for everything because some things I'm just pretty sure about. But things like this little agave, I never know if I'm overwatering it. And this is telling me that I could probably put a little bit more water in it. But if I didn't, that'd probably be fine too, because it likes it dry. So as long as I don't overwater it, and I don't have to put my finger down in there and get it all dirty, which they normally are all dirty anyway. But through the winter, when I don't be so dirty all the time, it's just nice to have something else to use instead of my finger. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.